Hi there. It is the HewCast podcast, and today I have the lovely Eileen with me from Cucumber Clothing, and I think it will be great to just start on how did when it came to business, how did you start? Like, what was the starting point for you?
Okay, well, hello, Vanessa. Thank you so much for having me here today. It's really great. Funnily enough, I normally do this kind of thing as a pair because I have a co-founder. So it's unusual for me to be on my own. So as I said earlier, I'm just going to be winging it solo. But business. So I grew up in, like, my dad's doctor. I always thought I was going to be a doctor, but the whole chemistry thing didn't really work out for me. So I was also always super interested in fashion and beauty. So my first original dream was to be a fashion designer. So I did always think that I would end up running a massive global business. Didn't quite happen that way. I ended up working in fashion for most of my life. I started off at Billboard magazine. I was living in Japan, discovering my roots after I finished uni. And then I met the man of my dreams, who's English, and I moved here, and then I stayed. And I ended up working at Nicole Fari, and then Nicole Fari Men's, which then was brand new. So there were just three of us, and we just kind of got it up and running. And I mean, it's so old school now, but it was, at the time, it was like a really amazing, cool premier brand in the 90s. And then I had three kids. And then I started my own business because I've always liked making things, and I get really starved if I can't be creative. So my kids had to do a lot of leaf collages and salt dough making again. But yeah, it was like, I loved just making things. And I started a bag and accessory company, which is great when the kids were small. And as they grew up, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, which was super. And then in 2016, I guess it was, Nancy and I came up with this idea for Cucumber, and we thought, this will be fun. This be like, just like something to do on the side on the weekends, like let's fill our extra spaces of time. And then suddenly, like, boom, as soon as we launched in September 2017, 2 days after, we had a very nice, very large piece with photos by Lisa Armstrong in the Daily Telegraph. And it literally, the orders didn't stop coming in, and that kind of just took us on a different trajectory. Because I'd said to Nat, I've done website businesses before. Honestly, it's impossible to drive if you're a small company, impossible to drive tons of traffic. I was wrong because I didn't factor in the whole Lisa Armstrong thing. So here I am running a business, maybe not the way I expected it to be, but it's great. It's great.
It sounds great. Like that story. Do you feel like as a business owner, it's actually giving you a little bit more flexibility with like your personal life because of the fact you're not constrained by someone else's, expectations of you have to be here 9 to 5? Do you feel that there's a lot more flexibility as a business owner?
Definitely. I'm sure that this will resonate with you as well, because there's a huge difference in waking up thinking, I've just got to get on with my day because I've got X, Y, and Z to do. Or someone saying, you know what, Eileen, you've got X, Y, and Z to do. Why don't you get on with it? It's like, all right. So yes, you have this kind of, you have a great self-motivation because you feel passionate about what you're doing, and it just makes you push yourself. And I also think the other thing I've really loved and embraced about it is made me educate myself in a way that I didn't expect. So all around website design, all around kind of SEOs and all that, content writing. I've always liked writing. I've never done a huge amount. I do a ton of writing now because I've stopped making things with my hands. I started writing and creating content, which is great. And then also stuff like this. I honestly used to be so scared of public speaking or speaking in a forum like this. I would literally, I need a cucumber. I would literally start sweating, and I'd start hyperventilating and stuff. And now, because I've just practiced and I've just got to nail this. I had a friend who's an actor give me some lessons on how to breathe and project. And honestly, you can see I'm a changed woman. I'm not sort of like this, going, I'm not sure, Vanessa, what to say now.
Yeah.
I'm all over it, and I'm not letting you speak. So I'll stop now.
This is brilliant. This is what I want the audience to feel, is that every business owner has a different journey and different experience, and everyone has their fears. Being a business owner, like you touched upon, like the website making. I'm not a website specialist, but I've kind of just grabbed it with both arms. I still need to sort out my SEO anyway, and make sure it's optimized to its highest level. But this is stuff that you learn as you go along, and I think that's one of the exciting things about being a business owner, is actually being able to try things, you know, from HR to finance to website and content creation to operations and building that. And I think if you're, like you said, you mentioned passion, if you're passionate about that, your business, it will go far and you'll just gravitate and get things done anyway. So when you talk about about passion and, you know, and being a business owner and that fear, it's okay to be fearful, because that's what you can work on.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
What did you have any fears just starting up, even from your original business idea with, you know, the accessory business?
I think that every business owner who has I just think, you know, throw a rock, you'll hit someone who's got a great idea for a business, but then you need to throw a gigantic boulder to hit someone who's actually taken the next step to create a business. And then you probably have to throw a small asteroid to find that person who's done the first two steps and made a successful business. It is so difficult. You know that as well as I do. It is crucifyingly difficult to get a business off the ground. You really need to be smart in a way that you don't expect yourself to be. I can't remember the original question. Was it about
your original business idea, which was the accessories, that business? Were you fearful starting that, or what?
Oh yes. Sorry, yeah, no, yeah. So I was going to say probably the same fears of both, which is when you're creating a product, you need a customer. So when you create the product, you manufacture the product, are you going to get customers? That's always a big question. And so it's such an enormous relief when somebody buys something for the very first time. It's like, oh, my goodness, goodness, we were right. Like, people do like our stuff. And with my smaller business, it started off really, really, really tiny, just me making these little bags. But by the end of it, I had a really great, you know, home business where I had about a 500 person list of customers. And so if every month I got between 5 and 10 commissions, it was perfect because it just ticked over. That kind of business could never be huge because I made almost everything myself. So by its very nature, it was always going to be limited. But I wanted that because I liked the creative side of it. And I also had my family who was young at the time. HewCumber is different. You know, my kids are grown up, they've moved out, you know, they're independent now, which is fab. They're getting on with their lives. And what's been nice for me is I've got this other thing that Nancy and I are creating. We're trying to sort of mold it into this manageable business that's moving forward the whole time. But we're always fearful. You know, there's always something, for everything that goes right, as you well know, there's always something going wrong. And so it's quite hard sometimes to think, okay, well, that's going right, so let's push that forward. At the same time going, oh, no, that's going wrong. We need to somehow fix that. So it's all about, I think, time management, really, or desperate time management.
Definitely. Like, and you mentioned that your experience, obviously, then versus now is completely different because your personal circumstances have changed. So in terms of how you operate with HewCumber, is it completely different from your previous venture, or?
Yeah, I'd say it's almost completely different. So, you know, I look at you, you're a young woman, you probably got tons of stuff going on in your life. You know, I don't know if you've got family or your parents, kids, I don't know, whatever. You're just at a super busy time in your life. And that was where I was when I had my last business. You know, that business worked perfectly because it fit into the school run and it fit into summer holidays. And I could shutter up my shop in the summer and say, I'm closed, not taking commissions between July, you know, middle of July to middle of August. Fine. Well, I can't do that with HewCumber. But the plus side, as you said, with HewCumber is because my life has changed. I am freer now in terms of time than I had been since I was a very young woman, because, you know, obviously I have a partner, my husband, I have my father who lives in Vancouver, he's quite elderly. My mother passed away last year. So those are two things. Obviously I've got my kids, you know, I love seeing them and it's great, but I'm not responsible for them. So I'm responsible for the business. And it means that if there's a meeting that has to go on till 6 or 7 at night, no problem. Have to work on the weekend, no worries, it's fine. Whereas before that would have been a real issue. And now there is a freedom to being actually an older entrepreneur.
Oh, don't say that. You're not that old.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Well, whatever you're using, I think you need to share that, because you don't anywhere near old. Even kids that have flown the nest. I'm like,
I said to my husband last night, I don't think I'll ever have plastic surgery, but I think I spend the same amount on my skin creams that I would if I did. It's like slap it on every night, face massage, roller.
So that's a hint for everyone. Good skin creams.
Yes, definitely. Good skincare all your life. It does pay off in the end.
Okay, cool. So tell us about Cucumber Clothing, what it stands for, and what you've got coming up in the pipeline.
Okay, so hopefully everyone who's listening to this already knows all about Cucumber Clothing, but for the few people who don't, the very few, we say that Cucumber Clothing, we make luxurious clothes for every day. So the whole idea of luxury, I probably grew up with the idea of luxury is like, bright red lipstick and like Louboutin heels and pencil skirts, and essentially something that looked amazing, but was ultimately quite uncomfortable to wear as a woman. Yeah. And so what we're saying is that luxury doesn't have to be uncomfortable. It should be also something, it can be, you do sometimes want to have those amazing shoes on, sure, but sometimes, most of the time, and especially now that so many of us are working from home, you actually want something that feels really fantastic on, but once you put it on, you can just forget about it. So I am modeling today, for those who are watching the video rather than just listening, our shell button top, and it is, it's super comfortable.
Yeah.
Because it's thermoregulating, it doesn't crush. If I spill my coffee down it, I can just spot wash it. I don't need to chuck it in the washing machine. If I do have to chuck it in the washing machine, cold wash, hang dry, no iron. I mean, literally could not be easier. And also this particular fabric, well, all our fabrics essentially, that we have 4 different ones, but they all essentially wick away any sweat and odors, so that you just don't, it's like one thing you don't need to worry about, plus you feel like you look good. So that's kind of what we're all about. So everyday luxury using sustainable performance fabrics that feel amazing. So they don't feel like you're just about to go for a run or do a 100-mile cycle ride. They feel like you're about to, lie down and have a coffee with a friend, or go to bed, or just sit down and do some work in something really comfy. Totally multifunctional. So, I've worn this out in the evening with heels and jeans, but I'm wearing it at home now just with the pull-on skirt and, to be honest with you, slippers.
That's all right. You're at home. No one can see. It's fine. It does look really comfortable, and I guess that is a homage to Cucumber being so cool and having that relaxed vibe.
You have absolutely hit the nail on the head. Cucumber Clothing keeps you cool, and so we found that our customers range from from the busy woman in her 30s who's got probably a young baby at home. She's working, her partner's working. She just wants something she can throw on in the morning, isn't going to crease up during the day, isn't going to, she isn't going to find like a sweat patch under her arm halfway through the day during a Zoom meeting. And in the evening, she can just put on a pair of sweatpants, keep the t-shirt, she go to bed in it. It's fine. And it's probably fine the next day, even though this might actually gross some people out. We're all about like sustainable washing, which is something that Stella McCartney was banging on about last year, but we're totally with her on that, which is that people have become obsessed with this. I'm North American, so I can say this. It's American idea of cleanliness. I'm Canadian, which is like everything has to be super clean all the time. You touch it and it's got to go into the washing. Actually, the reality is you just don't need to wash clothes as often as we do, and particularly ours, because they wick away sweat and odors. You can wear things really day after day after day. Fine, you drop some food on it, your baby sits up on your shoulder. Sure, you want to spot wash it or chuck it in, but actually, you just really don't need to. So busy women, older women, older and younger women going through hormonal fluctuations, which you've had a baby, your hormones are going like that, you're going through the menopause, your hormones are going like that. Cycles, time of the month, some people get really hot and cold. It just helps you regulate that. So you never have to think, oh my goodness, I'm so hot, because even if you are, it will just ease away really quickly and you won't have to worry about anything. We sell a lot through sort of luxury spa shops in hotels and high-end hotels, because people who travel love us, because obviously you can scrumple us all up. But I can honestly say, hand on heart, this top came out of the laundry basket, the clean laundry basket, being tossed in there because by mistake, because normally I just hang it up so I can wear it. It's been tossed in there underneath a bunch of towels. I pulled it out and I have to say, I'm looking pretty
well.
damn on crush. Exactly. So it's perfect for traveling because you can just shove it in your suitcase. Multifunctional. You can wear it up to, to the restaurant. You can wear it, in your bed. So it's great for that. So we just like to think we're kind of empowering women in their wardrobes. That it's like one less thing to think about, helps them with it, get on with their lives. Sorry. Next.
No, as you was talking, I was like, yes, this is exactly what we need. Like, as a female, I mean, when I was in corporate world, when you're running from meeting to meeting and you're always, you're hot, and then especially in the summer, it was like last week or the other week where it was super hot and I'm running from building to building, or I'm getting on the train to Leeds because I've got to go to the other office. And at the end of it, you're like, right, I have to get a new shirt, go in the shower and something like that. One thing, especially me being a bigger person, I do sweat a lot. So if I can have nice ventilated shirts and clothing that keeps me cool and regulated throughout the day, that it just makes life so much more easier.
Exactly, you've hit the nail on the head. And I mean, we go up to size 20. We start from a size 6 in some styles. We got size 20 in some styles. We would like to increase the offering because, as I said to you, I'm from Canada and I just got back, and while I was there, I was doing some research online, and there are a couple of really amazing companies which are, I mean, they're much bigger than we are, because obviously with manufacturing, one of the difficulties is for every size that you do, you have to have a pattern made for that, and you have to have a grading made for that. And that is a huge expense for a small company. But, on our wish list going forward is we'd like to expand our sizes, because I can really see, looking at these other bigger companies, which are doing literally size 00 American, which I think probably is a UK size 4, bizarrely, up to size 30. I think once went up to size 40. And, okay, fine. There might be some problems associated with being a size 40, but if you are a size 40, you still want to look good. You want to wear things that are nice. And so I think we're trying to get into that mindset as well, that our clothes are meant to be for as many women as possible. It's meant to be inclusive rather than exclusive in any way. Yeah.
I like that, because as a bigger girl, I'm more on the size 20 side of things, depending on the material and obviously how it's fitted. Then I could get into an 18 or a 22. It just really depends. So for me, it's really good to hear that a brand is consciously looking at ways to be inclusive, and I understand how much time, money and effort it is even to do larger sizes, because I know manufacturing, you're using more material, and so the costs are also going up. So I really appreciate that even as a small business, you're already looking at that, because I could imagine, it's no easy feat trying to maximize and try and get as many people included. And one of the things that I've personally have been through is that when I'm trying to find something that is cool and airy, and the fit and the look, when it looks like, or maybe a size 10 person in the UK, it doesn't look, the cut is completely different to someone who's size 18 to 20, and it's like, oh well, I like it there, but when I put it on, it doesn't have the same effect. So that's
really interesting, because at the moment, in fact, this is very timely podcast, because one of the things that we've been doing during this whole weird time is, which actually it's been okay, which is great. You know, we have an online base, so that hasn't stopped. We're not a bricks and mortar company. We have a few outlets, but you know, we're mainly e-commerce based. So that's been good. The government, you know, has been incredibly supportive, and beyond that, we decided this is a time for us to look inward, and we have the time to sort out the things we want to sort out. So we're going through this whole website re-strategization, and by the beginning of September, which hopefully is around when this will come out, our new website iteration will be up, and we're really excited about that aspect of it. One of the things that we've been really investigating, and actually it's so interesting that you brought that up, is the whole idea of how clothes fit. So again, for a small company, one of the really difficult things, which actually until you get into it, people don't understand, is when you do a shoot. So say we've got a small new collection coming out, we want to have a model. Now, in the ideal world, we'd have 3 models or 4 models, you know, 5 models, all different shapes and sizes, heights, everything, so that people can have an idea of what it would look like on their body. But every model has a price. That price is only fixed for 1 year. So if for instance, if you were our model, Vanessa, your agency would say, you can have Vanessa's image for a year, but if you want to for another year, you have to pay the same again. If you want to extend it again and again. So then you have to pay for the studio, you have to pay for the photographer, then you have to pay for the hair, makeup person, you have to pay for the computer, digitalize it. You know, suddenly it becomes this huge thing. And we generally can't afford to have more than 1 model. And that's something that we've been really discussing going forward, and we're going to try going forward doing some extra smaller shoots on a much more casual basis with lots of different shapes and sizes. And one thing I also noticed on these American websites is they've all come up with these great workarounds. So some of them have like a virtual avatar that you can create in your body. I tried that out. That worked really well. Another one shot every single piece. Like if they had a pair of jeans, they shot it in every size from 0 to 30 on different models. They had big budget, clearly. Yeah. But then you could say, okay, I'm a size 8 or whatever. You look on it, you think, oh yeah, okay, that's it. Oh, I'm a size 16. Yeah, okay, that's how it would look on me. So you're never doing that thing, because I'm 5'2.5". So if I look at my size, whatever it is, on a woman who's 5'10", I'm sorry, it just does not look the same. Yeah, it doesn't, like you said, there's like this disconnect between what I'm seeing, which looks amazing, and then when I get it on me and it's like 6 inches too long at the bottom. So I think that is definitely, again, an area that we're really investigating to try and find the best possible, most cost-effective way to allow people to understand how things will fit. But actually, our clothes, in that respect, we're lucky. They're not bodycon at all. So they're super relaxed. And most people, if something's like a little bit too big, a little bit too small, they don't even notice it, because it's not meant to cling. It's just meant to feel really comfortable, like this. For instance, I could have probably taken a size down, but I like it oversized so I can tie it around my waist, and yeah, it's easy.
Comfortable fit. That's exactly the type of where, if I was going out or wherever I was, that's the kind of fit I'd be looking for. And especially with a larger set woman, obviously we've got lumps and bumps everywhere. So it's sometimes really difficult to try and translate.
And that's it. Every woman has lumps and bumps.
That's very true.
I can tell you, every woman does. We're all like, oh.
That's true. It is a general problem amongst all women of all sizes, 100%. And just summarizing on that point, it's like, you know, you look at something and, you know, some of them, they'll have that. I've seen the virtual models, and I think it's good in a sense, but like you said, larger businesses, they've got the big bucks and they can spend as much as they want. And really what I want to get the point across is how small businesses are trying to innovate and trying to bridge that gap. And hopefully, I really do hope, and touch wood, when you do your website, that you're able to incorporate some of those elements, and hopefully maybe use influencers, maybe make it a lot cheaper for yourself, find a different way to get these different size models in, you know, at a rate that is more affordable, because I think we're having that visual representation will help customers, not just like me, but others, you know, who might be different sizes or heights, to see how that would work on them and be more enticed to buy, to purchase. And that's the main thing. I'm glad that you're already looking inwardly at that, because I do think some businesses, like for example Ivy Park, is centered around a certain size and demographic and type of person, and or they're literally Beyonce fans and that's it.
Yeah.
Rather than actually, what are we representing? Are we gonna, if we're representing all, then what does all encompass? Well, all sizes, or all heights, all complexions. So maybe the color of the fabric, you might want to change it, or the materials, that kind of thing. I don't think that brand was ever looking at inclusivity like that. So that's why I find it really refreshing that a brand is actually looking inward, because it shows when you market your clothes, it shows how much time that you've taken. I mean, a buyer like me, I could see instantly whether you've taken the time to actually think about, different types of people, and the fact that there are different types of people, and how you've tried your best to make it inclusive. And that's one of the things that I think shoppers are starting to get more eagle-eyed on, is about inclusivity.
Well, that's really nice to hear from you, and I will take that as a compliment, because I think Nancy and I do try really hard to. I mean, when we started, I'm sure you have, because you have a corporate background. You start with a business plan. It never goes according to the business plan. It's like the minute you start, it's like, whoo, you go sideways. But ultimately, when you look back, what was nice for us looking back at our business plan, we looked at it about 6 months ago, we hadn't looked at it for 2.5 years, was there were all these things in there that we'd said, we want to be an ethical business, we want to be a sustainable business, we want to be an inclusive business. So right from the start, I think we gave ourselves some guidelines about what sort of business we want to be, and we tried to make some positive choices about that. But I think the other nice thing about being a very small business is we don't have to ask the CFO or the COO or the CEO for feedback. We are all those things. So, at one point, we realized our super factory, which is in London, in Tottenham, in Wood Green, whenever they did a run for us, they would, package everything into bags and then deliver it to our warehouse. And we thought, and they're all plastic bags. And so we would just reuse them. And we thought, you know what, we just can't do that. It doesn't matter who reuse them. We just don't want to do this anymore. So we did a lot of research, because there's a lot of biodegradable bags out there that biodegrade into plastic pellets. Okay. Yeah, I know, which you don't realize, because if something says 100% biodegradable, you don't question. No. You just assume the best, and sometimes it's not. But we found this super company up in Lancashire, and they make all these eco-friendly things. So we bought some. They look like plastic bags. They're very noisy, but they're actually made out of vegetable starch, so they're clear. So they're completely biodegradable and compostable, and they just degrade and into soil. They turn back into soil. And then we also changed our packaging. So now we just have these recycled bags, which are recyclable. They're really cute postal bags. Just put a sticker and then some recyclable tape. Because that's the other thing, when you get a cardboard box, you're meant to rip all the tape off, because that normally isn't recyclable. But I mean, how many people do that? They just don't. But our tape is recyclable, so you can just put it in. So, but all those kinds of things, which some maybe in a large company would take a lot longer to make those decisions, not only because you have to make a decision, but also because they're expensive decisions. Quite often the right decision has a bigger price tag, and as a small company, that's quite hard sometimes. But you kind of think we need to start as we mean to finish. So if we start cutting corners right at the beginning, where are we going to be, 3, 4, 5 years down the line? Yeah. So we've tried to create a company so we can hold our head up high and think, as far as we know, we certainly don't get everything right. We probably don't know everything that we've done wrong, but as far as we know, and everything we're trying to do in the right way. So that's all we can really do.
And it's that honesty is what buyers and also other business owners are looking for. Is that accountability, in a sense, not to discourage anyone, but as a small business, you are looking at your pennies and your pounds and making sure that, of course, you have got to save as much as you can and make sure your margins work for you and your business, and to still be thinking ethically and environmentally, because some people don't realize being environmentally aware and conscious and having that agenda on your business does come at a cost, because like you said, those decisions, are going to be more expensive decisions because they're not mass produced in the sense that they can be found everywhere and they're cheap, and they go through an absolutely laborious process to get to what they are now, and to be able to be biodegradable it's crazy the amount of money that it does take and the amount of processes it takes to even get to that stage. So I think people really need to appreciate that, the amount of money that goes into being environmentally aware and stable, and as a business as well, that you're already thinking and being conscious of that is actually quite amazing as a small business, because it's very hard. I can't lie. It is hard.
It is hard. It is hard. You feel it too. It's hard because your primary, running a business, your primary aim is to make that business successful. And the whole sustainability and ethical piece of it is definitely a part, I think, of what you and I would consider to be a successful business. For other people, it's an unnecessary add-on. But I think things are changing, and I hope what you said about the fact, which now is true, that if you're buying the kind of ethical alternative, it generally is expensive. We have to hope that in 10 or 15 years' time, that will be the one that's being mass produced. So, just like electric cars, the prices are coming down because more and more people are buying them. So we just have to hope that we are headed in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely. And do you feel that, you've obviously looked at your competitors, do you feel that other businesses are looking at sustainability within your sector? So obviously the clothing sector, because we've seen Gucci and everyone in landfill and them throwing away products like that. And, is everyone else really thinking that way in your sector?
Yeah, I'm not. I think there's a mix, and I think that for larger companies who are very established, it's, in a sense, it's more difficult for them to retrofit all of this back onto their company. For smaller, newer companies, it's easier because you're growing, and so you can build the building blocks as you're growing. But having said that, I think that there's a definite split. So, we say that there isn't really another company like us. There's another company making these kind of beautiful, luxurious, everyday clothes that use cutting edge performance fabrics that feel great on. So, we might take a bit of the sort of sportswear, like you think Lululemon, Sweaty Betty, Patagonia, all of those brands. We take a little bit from companies like the White Company and E&M and Hush. That's another sort of area for us. So we take from all, and then this whole sleepwear area as well, we take from. So I'd say probably in the performance athletic world, they are quite on the whole idea about sustainability. There's some really big names out there, like, well, Patagonia, for instance, they're hugely sustainable and have always been. That's just been part of their remit. And somehow I think the combination of sport, being outdoors, that whole idea, those companies tend to be quite interested, and the people who buy from them want it from them. In terms of more kind of day-to-day wear, I don't know what all those other companies are doing. But I think most companies are, even if they haven't really implemented something, they are definitely thinking about it, because if nothing else, that's the way the wind is blowing. And if that's what consumers want, then that's what businesses will definitely give them. So yeah, I don't know offhand. I only really know what we're doing in that space. And also, as you say, it's very difficult to check what other people are doing. There have been some scandals with bigger companies saying, oh, we're doing X, Y, Z, but in fact, it turned out to be greenwashing. So yeah, consumer beware. All you can do as a consumer is just research everything as much as you can.
Yeah, definitely. And it's that transparency as well, which we all know that is extremely hard when it comes to the larger companies. And that's why I really do encourage, where people can, is look at the smaller businesses and the innovations that we're doing, not just in the UK. Well, obviously in Britain, definitely invest in Britain, but in terms of smaller businesses and what they're doing, it's so refreshing that we're still not trying to keep up, we actually are starting to become market leaders in our own right. And I think the only way we can sustain that is to keep supporting each other. And that's one of the things why I was really intrigued to get you onto the podcast, because I felt that your take, as someone who's further along in business versus me, you would already have tried to transform your business over iterations? And you mentioned that you had a business plan that was, 2 years ago, and you've only looked at it now, in the last 6 months, and it's that thing of, as a business owner, there is mandatory stuff that you should have. Business plan, you have your delivery plan, and then you have your operational plan, or what plans you have in effect to have your strategic direction and lead from. But it's okay to make changes and have your strategy be emergent rather than already thought out, because no business goes in one direction. It can go in all different directions. And from my side, as a business, it's a business consultancy, but at the same time I'm a doer. So I want to partner businesses and help them with their operations and making it sleeker, and putting some of the formalities in there, but also giving them a little bit more structure to help them on their way. And that's one of the things that I want to encourage people is, yes, have your business plan. It's really important, but don't be upset when you might find something new that steers you away. It's fine, as long as you're able to either come back or amend your business plan to your environment. So how did you find the business planning process with your co-founder? Do you feel that it was laborious, or did you feel that
No, actually, the great thing about my co-founder and me is that we are such different people. So if she were here, she's blonde, I'm dark, but we have very complementary personalities. So I tend to be, a bit more of a thinker. I like to plan things out. I like to really take time to make up my mind about things and be really sure. I'm quite a creative person. I like to, do all that kind of. Nancy is the massive doer. So, has it been done yesterday? No. Are you kidding? So, things just get done, and she's a great list writer and very organized about getting things done. She does all the kind of accountancy, financial side, much to her dismay, actually, but she does it. She does it brilliantly. Someone has to do it. Thank goodness it's not me. But yeah, and so actually, when we started doing the business plan, we just sat down, and what do? I'd never written a business plan. She'd never written a business plan. You look up you Google it, templates for good business plans, and you look at all the different questions. You choose the ones that you think relate to your business. You write it up. You spend a lot of time trying to make it perfect. And then, as I said, you put it in a cupboard, you shut the door, and you don't look at it for 2 years. Because then the business just takes off, and then it was a little bit, because we set off at such a gallop, it was a little bit like chasing the horse that had bolted from the stables. We didn't have time to saddle it up. We were just running after it, trying to jump on, which is great in a way, because it meant our business is going great guns. But on the other hand, it meant that a ton of stuff that maybe we should have been thinking about at the beginning, we didn't have time to think about. And it's only in the last year really that we've had time to go back and think, okay, well, what have we missed, and what are the areas we need to really strengthen, and what are the areas that we maybe need to just drop. And it's been a very good process, very good exercise. And I think you're right with business planning. The key thing is you have to be dynamic. You can't be static. If you're static and you write something down and think it's got to be this way, well, then you may as well just give up now. It's got to be dynamic. It's got to change with what's going on with you in your own life as well as in your business. And yeah, there has to be kind of flexibility to, obviously you want to keep your brand ethos and your original remit. Definitely, that always has to be the core, but everything around it can and does change at certain points, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a business plan, but no plan is all like goes straight to plan. There's always kinks and bumps along the road. So it's just definitely one of the things that I wanted to bring up, because some people have a real fear as business owners to even do a business plan, because they're scared that, oh my gosh, I've never done it before. Am I doing it right? Is it the right way? There's no right or wrong way to do a business plan. It's just how you present it. And I think that's the part that people get really stuck on. Is like, oh my gosh, it's not like this person's. It's like, no, your business is different. So it will look completely different to someone else's. So I really do hope that people feel a bit more encouraged that, even from your perspective, you have one, but you're changing it, as and when is needed, rather than it's the perfect business plan that you're sticking to faithfully, So I think one of the last things, I mean, it's a shame that your co-founder couldn't be here, because it would have been really nice to have both of you here getting the two different perspectives. But what is your plans, obviously with Corona and quarantining and all that? What is your plans for Cucumber Clothing next? Like, what's in the pipeline?
Well, I mean, as I said to you earlier, it is all really exciting now, because we have spent the last 4 or 5 months just looking at what we've done and thinking, how can we do it better? And so we've been looking really at our website, because that's our shop front to the world. I mean, we have sold all over the world, mainly to English speaking countries. And I think that's probably because we've never done any advertising. So everything you see, if you ever read an interview with us, we're like here, or we've been in the Times, the Telegraph, we've been on telly, all of that has been organic. So I haven't paid for any of that. And as a result, say, if we are in something like the Daily Mail, that the digital edition goes out to tons of countries. They tend to be places where people speak English, and that's why they're subscribed to them. So, Australia, Canada, the United States, quite a bit in Asia, also the Middle East, less so in Europe, but maybe because, again, they're not particularly English speaking countries, but some in France, because we've had, and Germany, Austria. I mean, actually, we have had quite a few sales everywhere, which is great. So I think, we've been looking really at the website to see how we can make that better than it is now. And I think we're kind of on the road to that. So as I said, come September, by mid-September, it should all be done and dusted. Our new website will be good to go. It won't look completely different from before. There'll be a lot of overlap, but it should be cleaner and fresher, easier to navigate. And with all our kind of brand messages much more on point and much easier to decipher, because I think that's the thing, is you need to be really clear, because people just don't have time. They just want to find out things straight away. That's number one. We're changing up our social media, because that really needed somebody just looking at it the whole time, because social media is a job. It's like a full-time thing, and neither of us, I did most of it. I just don't have time to all of it. So we are actually, hooray! We have a new person who's going to start working for us soon, who's just going to concentrate on all the digital side of that. So that should look totally refreshed, which is great. And then really it's about trying to reach more global markets. And it is a difficult time to do that, because obviously bricks and mortar around the world, retail footfall has just dropped. And quite frankly, who knows when that's going to come back up. But I do think that we need to be prepared for that when the uptick comes. And I do think that we need to try and galvanize our markets, not just within the UK, but outside the UK, because I think if women knew about our products, they would be, as you said, just enthused, because quite frankly, it's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you want to wear something that A, looks good, makes you feel good, and just doesn't require really any care, and is sustainable? So it's like tick, 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 done. Why wouldn't you? And we would never say that we're going to be the hero pieces. We're not going to be those Louboutin shoes or like amazing, self-portrait dress or whatever it is, hanging. We are going to be the pieces that you grab again and again, just because they work and they make you feel good. So so I think more of the same except better is in a nutshell.
Well, that's a line, more of the same but better.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Eileen, for being here with me. And if anyone is interested, where can they find Cucumber Clothing? What's the website?
They can find us at www.cucumberclothing. We're on all social media at Cucumber Clothing. On Instagram, Cucumber Clothing, most other places, Cucumber Cloth UK on Twitter. If you sign up to our lovely email, which only comes twice a month, you'll get 10% off your first purchase. And at the moment, I should just highlight that we are selling masks. So we've teamed up with 2 social enterprise. So what we do is we use the offcuts from our lightest fabric to line it, so they feel super comfy. Some pretty fabrics on the outside some remnants end of line. And for each mask we sell, one gets given to one of the social enterprises. So it's not a money making enterprise. It's just a really nice thing to do. And I can honestly say they're super comfy.
It's all about the comfort, of course.
All about the comfort. It's all about the comfort.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining me. And yes, please do check it out. I will tag all your social medias in the post and on YouTube and on our social media as well. But thank you so much, Eileen.
No, it's been such a pleasure, Vanessa. I'm so glad to have met you. And this has been really fun. I'm good at talking. I realize that.
So you offered one of your things, public speaking, you could do anything. You've done this, you could do anything. You'll be fine.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.